Welcome back to Up the Villa Opposition Preview. Again, joined by Alex from The Different Knock. How you doing, mate?
Very good, sir. Very good. Sorry not to see you on the overlap yesterday, but all good. All good.
Yes, I'm surprised you've agreed to come on, to be fair, because your XG of doing these previews is at 0.0 so far. I'm currently sat at 2.0. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's not been good.
No, it hasn't, has it?
I've been your lucky charm. You need to keep getting me on.
No, yeah, well, that's why you're here. So how are you feeling then? Arsenal ahead of a new season, as a fan, expectations, league, Champions League, cup competitions. What's your early vibe going into the season?
I've been saying to people the last 3 seasons I've put into basically one word. 22-23, there was it was a surprise. That was basically what that was. 23-24 was hoping, and I think now 24-25 is expecting. I think we've sort of done that process. I think if we are to do it, if we are to get more points than we did last season, I think we'll be the first team in Premier League history to improve their points total every single year. I could be wrong, but I think that's right. But anyway, regardless, the progress has been incredible, and I just think it just needs to pay off this season. I basically am at the point where I think if we sign a forward, I would be happy to say we are going to win the league. Right now, I still think City will do something, and I think we might get like a cup competition or something because they're just City. They're crazy. But I do think people are massively underrating the fact that they are having their investigation at the end of this season, and that they won't get sanctioned. But if that is what people expect it to be, and the result people expect it to be, that comes out, I think, early 2025. The impact on their season could be huge. So it's and also considering the other PSR regulations and what might happen to Chelsea and Everton or whatever, it's going to be huge year for the Premier League. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
As a fan, from the outside, as a Villa fan watching Arsenal, you are super fun to watch. You've got great players. Tactically, you're very, very good. So, there's loads of different things that a neutral can watch for with your style of play. As a fan, do you enjoy it? In the sense of, that you have got to be perfect for pretty much the majority of the season. So does that give you a bit of like pressure while you're watching your team, or can you sit back and be like, we're really good?
We were talking about this the other day. Honestly, Arsenal fans, if we have 10 minutes where we're like slightly out of control, we panic because that's what City do to you. Honestly, I feel for Liverpool fans for the last couple of years. That's what you can't make any mistakes. It's mental. I thought you were about to launch into the Unai Arteta argument, which we're not going to. We can get if you want, but
no, we'll stay away from that.
Yeah, but no, I can enjoy it. I think it is stressful, but to be honest, I always think about this. Okay, you get to the end of the season, you win the trophy, you have the moment that you've been waiting for. Then what? You'd be going, I kind of wish I'd enjoyed it a bit more. So you got to enjoy it along the way.
Yeah, you've touched on recruitment. The big one for me, you might know, I used to work at Tony and Guy. So when someone with those long locks come into the Premier League with a headband, I'm instantly like, it doesn't matter whether they are a good player or not. I like them already. Yeah. So he's a player that, he's quality anyway. He was great for Italy, and, he's done so well in Serie A. So you brought him in, but you mentioned the attacker, and I'm kind of a little bit like you. When I watch Arsenal, I think Havertz is great at what he does. But, when you were looking at like Bayern Munich last season, and it just felt like if you'd got that like player there that could just clutch the moment. And I think you've got those players like, I think Saka is there, but it does kind of feel like you still need to do that for me. Is that where you're at with this forward?
Yeah. Arsenal fans, if you're watching, forgive me because you know exactly what I'm about to say. I think basically what it is there's I call it a skills gap. So we scored the most amount of goals we've ever scored in the Premier League in the last 2 seasons on record. So 22-23, we scored our most of the goals, and then we topped it again last season. So the issue isn't goal scoring, but the issue is what you've outlined, even as an outside watcher, right? You can see there's a player who can't. There's no one who can quite force the issue. I think in our team, Saka is a brilliant player. He might become that. And by the way, the goal against Wolves, He did force the issue, and I'm going, okay, if you can do that consistently, but we don't have that sample. He's brilliantly supported by the system, and he's a fantastic player who's improved year on year. It's not taking away from him, but he's not going to go and beat 5 men and stick it in the top. That's just not his game. He's just so reliable out on that side. So yeah, I do think we need that. How you it's like, okay, go and find Salah on the market. Well, okay, how are you going to do that? But what I think we're missing 3 things basically: a bit of height, which is Kai Havertz is only forward over 6 foot. A little bit of pace. Saka and Martinelli are quick, but they're not, again, high bar, but they're not Mbappe quick, And I think, I look at someone like a Leao or an Osimhen in the channels, and I'm like, that's the kind of pace that I want. And yeah, someone who can kind of force the issue as well. How you find that, where that is, I'm open to. That could be on the wing. That could be as a number 9. I've given names all summer and said, I think Osimhen. I look at Leao. I've even over the summer grown to like Nico Williams. I think we're now looking at Lookman. That's not the level of signing that I wanted. But look, if you can't improve at 100%, improve a little bit. So, we'll see.
I got a question about those, that some of those players that you touched on. Like Villa are kind of, since Diaby's gone, we're in the market for like a forward. We wanted João Felix, and he's now gone to Chelsea. And we were linked with Sterling, but I don't think we're going to go for him. But I look at a player like Madueke. Do you think in this window that teams, as it goes late on, are going to try and not raid Chelsea, but try and attract some of their decent players?
Does Raheem Sterling interest you?
Yeah, I like him, but it's his wages is huge, and I don't know what he is anymore.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
No, I completely. I think we've lost the sense of what the player is. I mean, look, Madueke. Who have they got? They've got Madueke, Mudryk, Sterling. I mean, I'm sure there's 14 other, but they've also got like Nkunku and Palmer who can play wide, and they've got a Chukwuemeka, I think, who can play wide. Anyway, so I think there's probably something for both of our clubs actually at Chelsea. I don't know what it is. I know Madueke for you. I quite like that idea. I don't know if for us. I think he's maybe too good on the. I prefer him on the right, so he wouldn't get time over Saka. I think we want someone who's probably more of a central or left-sided player, but maybe Madueke for you.
Yeah, when I saw the Sterling, I was like, I know who I'd prefer.
Yeah.
So just touching on an area that you did recruit. So you recruited Calafiori.
Mm-hmm.
You started the first game with Zinchenko.
Yeah.
We've got Timber in there as well. Is it the season that someone pins down that left back and makes that position their own this season? And who do you think it would be?
Yeah, it's funny. Arteta has never, apart from when he first came in with Tierney, he's never stuck with one person at left back. And I think at some point you have to accept it has to be a bit of a choice. He's not like he is actively keeps signing. And I don't think it's a case of he can't find the right player. I think it's genuinely a case of he's got 3 in the back line of Saliba, Gabriel, and White, who are usually that 3, which actually I sent you in the tactical breakdown. And then the left back is kind of I describe it. Did you ever play Call of Duty?
Yeah.
Like the attachment on the top of it's like the scope on the top of the gun. Yeah. It's like the thing that, okay, so I'm shooting long distance today. I need that scope. Right. I'm shooting shorter distance. Right. I don't need this scope, whatever. So I imagine it like that. And it's kind of like, okay, what are we trying to do? And actually you referenced it earlier, the buying game, for example. If you go back and watch it, if you watch like the first sort of 15 minutes, Bayern are completely shutting down our right-hand side. And the player with the most touches is Gabriel. Now, Gabriel's a brilliant player. He's a brilliant player. I'm not bashing him at all. But his best qualities don't come on the ball. Now, if that's Calafiori with having loads of touches, he can carry through you. He can't defend the box as well as Gabriel, but he can carry through you in a different way. So you can't give him those kind of touches. So it's almost having enough tactical variety to go, okay, on this day, we can have this. For example, against you, I would put Zinchenko 5th choice to play against you at Villa Park, honestly. But against like maybe Luton at home last year or certain games, maybe against like Brighton or whatever, there's certain games where I go, Zinchenko, if you can get him behind the ball with touches, with time and space, as he had against Wolves, he's brilliant. But up against, Ollie Watkins, absolutely not, or whoever it is, absolutely not. Do you know what I mean? So it just depends on the game.
About Arteta then. So what would you say? So overall, Arsenal as a fan this season, what's a good season? And you mentioned about 2 years ago the word hope, and you've then grown into sort of feeling that you could possibly win the league. Is there pressure on Arteta now? Or is he sort of just not under any pressure whatsoever? Because, for me, when I watch you, I think, you're a really good team, but you haven't won anything since the FA Cup. So is there that pressure from the fans, or are we just pretty much okay with him?
Yeah, I mean, there's fans like me who are a little bit younger, probably have a little bit more, patience, because I haven't had to wait that long. Do you know what I mean? Like, my sort of football watching, I don't remember the Invincibles, so I haven't had to sort of wait that long as an adult to see a league title. So I get it, and there's people going to have different perspectives and stuff. But what I feel is there is pressure. I promise you, it's similar to what I feel is happening maybe at Villa. You're giving Unai a little bit more and more power. He's sort of almost like he's growing in stature at the club. That process has already happened for Mikel. Like, he is the man at the club. He is it's Mikel Arteta's Arsenal, and that is it. Now, you can live by that sword and you can die by that sword, but I think every successful club really properly backs one man. We can go after the continental approach and, okay, we'll have a committee making decisions and a transfer panel and whatever. But if you look at proper success in the Premier League, they backed Klopp. They backed Guardiola's ideas. You're having success by backing Unai Emery's ideas. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's one person really who is supported, but it's one person. And then I look around and I say, okay, who else can I see in world football who would do what Mikel's done culturally, who would get us playing the way we've played, who would get us challenging against Man City in this way? And you're looking at a very, very thin list. So as long as I see improvement and see progress and see not the same mistakes, do you know what I mean? Like, as long as I feel like we're correcting our errors, which I have felt every single season, it's more frustrating because it's, again, another year. But I think fans will back him because it's like we know where we're going. Do you know what I mean? That if you it's like you're going down a road and you haven't got there, but you are traveling. So you can get out of the car and get in another car if you want, but you don't know where that one's going. So you are going down the road and you will get there eventually, hopefully. But I'm sure there are fans who would be like, no trophy. If he doesn't win the title, he's out. But that's just my perspective.
So do you think there will be a trophy in the cabinet this season?
I think so, yeah. I think so. I think our squad depth is now really strong. And I think one of the things I'd like to see Mikel improve on is the usage of the squad. I think last season we had like Reece, Nelson, Fabio Vieira and Smith Rowe all had like certainly less than 1,000, but could even be less than 500 minutes. And most of them are fit for the whole of the season. Those guys are mostly heading out, actually, in Nketiah as well. So we're getting like some Marino in, Calafiori and stuff who should be getting 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 minutes, aiming for that. So I think we'll see more rotation, which will massively help in the cups. I think we'll be able to put out stronger teams in the cups. And yeah, I think something will happen in the cups. And I do think there's a 51-49 that we could, as in we're 49 for the league. If we sign a forward, I'd be willing to say we'll win the title.
Yeah, I think if you get that attacker, I'd be like, you are like my favourite to do it. So who do you think will be the challengers who are you really sort of competing with? Is it just City, or are you sort of like looking over at Liverpool thinking, could he do something? Could he challenge in his first year?
I think it's very... honestly, I need to watch more of Slot's games. I've only seen 2 or 3. I can't recall, unless you can, an era of Premier League dominance at a club, so say a Klopp or a Guardiola or Alex Ferguson, immediately followed by success. I just don't think it happens because you've had such an identity and such a clarity. Things are going to go through a change. Salah, Trent, and Van Dijk all in the last 3 years of their contract. I think my sense that the league is going to be pretty similar, in the sense that I think it'll be City and Arsenal at the top. I think probably you guys. I look at Spurs as well. I think Spurs are being slept on. I think they've got a really, really good squad. I think you guys, Spurs and Liverpool for 3rd and 4th, and then sort of you go further back. I can't yet. I don't look at Spurs. I think you guys you're building, but I don't think you're there yet. I think it'll be another year or so, or 2 years, if you keep sort of improving to properly challenge. But then also, if Pep leaves, the league changes. That's the bar. If he goes, the league looks completely different. So
yeah. So you kind of touched on Villa a little bit. So what sort of did you make of us sort of getting in the Champions League? And what are your thoughts on Villa like this season? How do you think we will do? Where will we be competing?
Yeah.
How will we do in the Champions League?
I've seen a few Villa like in the sort of Arteta, Emery, whatever, and I think there's maybe a perception of Villa fans that they think Arsenal fans are like, oh, whatever for Unai, whatever for Villa. Honestly, I like, just speaking personally, I could not have more respect for Unai Emery. I think it didn't work out for him, and actually, I think you solve the Emery Arteta argument by basically saying Arteta's perfect for Arsenal and Emery's perfect for Villa. Like, you could, okay, we can argue, yeah, Emery's won more titles. Okay, Arteta's shown over a longer period of time in the Premier League or whatever. You can go back and forth or whatever, but I think they're perfect for what they are. I could not have more respect for Unai Emery. I think you guys are building something really impressive. We've seen you are our bogey team at the minute in terms of coming up against you. I think we're the better side, but I'm sure you think you're the better side and you'll win on Saturday.
No, I mean, the thing,
but that's how it should be, honestly.
Yeah.
And you should back yourself, and we should back ourselves, and it's absolutely the case. But no, I think you're building. I think Onana's a brilliant purchase. I think who's the guy who signed from Juventus, Ben
Baronetcha.
Yeah, I haven't watched him, but I've heard great stuff about him. Illing Jr. is a great player, so you've signed really well. Matsson's a great player. I was looking through your team. I think apart from, do you still have Matty Cash at right back?
Mm-hmm.
That's the one position I go, I don't know. But I mean, other than that, look, Watkins, Maatson, I rate Pau Torres so highly. Martinez, one of the best goalkeepers in the world. Like Unai, and if we are answering the Emery Arteta thing, not to genuinely, I think he's in the Pep Arteta conversations as one of the best coaches in the league. It's absolutely the case. If you look at his CV, he's unbelievable. So I hope it works out.
Yeah, you have mentioned an area that we are trying to recruit. We're trying to get a centre back, I think, or someone that can play at right back, because Conte might have to go there on Saturday,
right,
and then we'll have Carlos in the middle. So it's a bit interesting. So the game then does feel like we've got a little blueprint on what we like to do against you guys. It's both games last season were pretty much keep it compact, keep it tight, grow into it, transition, Watkins, exploit your back three or two if you're a little bit more advanced, and get joy like that. So what can Villa expect? Because I think it's going to be a tough game, isn't it? But dare I say, I'd rather play you now than when you're in sort of November steamroller mode and you're just churning them wins out. So how do you think the game's going to pan out?
Are you going to be there? You'll be
I am.
Yeah, mate, it's going to be unbelievable. Yeah, it's tough. I think basically when I watched, so I actually went back and watched the 2-0 game for some of our content. And it was interesting because the first half, we actually looked fine. I think because of the result, I remembered it as so poorly. We were terrible, whatever. I think what you did second half, you did so well, was Mikel's massive on it, and it's just winning the battles and winning the physical battles. Declan Rice had a poor game. He was jumping up. I think you were doing really well to find the spare man in the build-up. You just beat us, and you had two great moments on the transition, which I think I shared with you again. It's not somewhere where we're not particularly good. You beat us fair and square. I think what I would say is the two things that so the first game last season, we had Zinchenko at left back. He won't be there, and that stifled us. I remember, because he was pretty poor on the ball that day. We had Havertz in midfield. We hadn't found him as a centre forward at that point, and we also played Jesus in the centre. None of those are going to happen, and those are the three problem positions last season. So I think there's a big margin there. You're not playing the same Arsenal team. You're playing a different team, I think. And then in the second game, I think because we're earlier on in the season, the physical side of things isn't going to play out in the way. We also fell apart slightly and started giving balls away as well. But physically, I think we dropped off and the jewels dropped, because there was 3 or 4 chances. I remember a Trossard chance, which Martinez saves with his feet, that we should have put in. So you do have a blueprint, as you say, the mid block, and it works really well. And I absolutely think someone like an Onana in the middle is going to help you guys. And there's a lot to come up against. But I think Timber is a big thing. I think Havertz at centre forward is a big thing. And again, he didn't play. Actually, interestingly, he didn't play centre forward against you at home, and I wonder why. So yeah, there's going to be a number of changes. But yeah, as you say, it's going to be a fantastic game.
Yeah, he has got a bit of needle now, hasn't it? I think it's just got it now. Like you don't, as a fan, I don't want it to be there because it just adds that little bit of like, I don't know. We've created content and like you know what's coming after the game from like the opposite set of fans if it don't go well. So you've got that coming your way. So yeah, I think it's like you say, it's going to be a tough game. If you were to win this game, because you lost both those games last year, would that then start to give you more belief as well that you've beat a team that beat you twice last year, or is it just like irrelevant?
I think most fans would feel. I think those games last season felt like we had the ability. I think Arsenal fans feel. This is what I think Arsenal fans feel. We feel we have the ability to beat every team in the league. That's what we feel. Going out and doing it is a very different question, especially with Man City. So I think it would be more a case of a few that are, oh my God, we've done that, we've got over that hurdle, and a kind of thank God we put that to rest for now. But no one is under any illusions going to Villa Park. This is going to be a breeze. It's going to be a really tough game. I think, yeah, I have to say I do feel more secure than I did at the end of the last season. I definitely feel we were in pretty poor form when we came to Villa Park last time. I actually agree with you. I think it's better maybe for both teams to be playing early in the season. And yeah, there is a bit of a needle in the game now, so it's gonna be tough. But I don't know whether there'll be like a right now we can that was the hurdle we needed to get over. I think it'll be more a case of a kind of a relief feeling than anything else.
Yeah. Right, cool. It's been great chatting to you again. Fantastic stuff. Great insight as always. And go and check out the different knock. I'll put Alex's channel in the title and the description of the video. I hope that you are coming on halfway through the season with a 0.0 XG still, and I'm there with a 3.0. So we'll see how it plays out. But yeah, cheers, mate.
Pleasure, mate. Thank you.